So I imagine everyone now will know about the new YouTube partnership terms. Being partnered with YouTube means you can monetize your videos, and it used to be easy to partner up. Now, however, YouTube are introducing some horrendous new terms for partnership, and I think it's generally very unfair on small channels. I've heard a rumour that up to 90% of channels are set to lose their monetization rights and partnership status in the next 30 days, and this is in order to protect established content creators. My thoughts on this ridiculous venture would be suited to go into another video, but for this one, YouTube are definitely going ahead with this, and so we can't really stop it. So instead, today I'm here to share with you some tips and tricks I've learned in my YouTube career that I think are essential in maintaining a channel and reaching 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time on your channel. So hopefully today, those of you who've had your partnership status threatened, and just generally those of you looking to grow in the community, can utilise this and build their channels. Obviously, some of you may disagree with the points of some of these tips, but these are some general guidelines I've sworn by since the day I started my channel, and they've really helped me to get where I am today, so I'm hoping that they can do the same for you. So as the new partner program has two factors, I'm going to first cover my tips on reaching 1,000 subscribers. After that, I'll cover tips for increasing watch time. Branding and naming is super important. On a small scale, it's not too necessary, but you need to be appealing to everybody who views your channel, and establishing some sort of theme is vital. Naming is a big part of it. Be sure your channel has a modest name. Something like thegamer_93934_XX isn't very appealing. It helps to create something memorable, hence why I changed my name from C1997 to just SEA. Also, try not to add gaming and more in your title. It's a real myth that it helps your channel. It really doesn't. I know people think it helps your discoverability, but if you really want to write something like geometry-pubg and more, or something like that, put it in your channel description, as it just really takes away from sort of the memorable nature of your title. Try to find a decent icon and some channel art too. It doesn't have to be much, and on a small scale you can use some stock templates or just something off Google for your channel art, but for your icon, at least try to avoid the use of the default icon, as that was literally made by YouTube to signify a user who wants to be part of the crowd rather than stand out. Also, I know games like Minecraft, Roblox and GD have huge followings, but really try to avoid these kinds of profile pictures as they're so overused and they don't look very good, not to mention the stigma they have. I've seen channels with Minecraft profile pictures get torn apart in arguments for no other reason than just because of the pictures. When establishing your channel, it's important to create a persona. The best way to do this is by using your face and voice, just something personal that people could associate with your channel. This is why Chris Credible is currently doing so well. But if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. There are a massive number of small things you can do. Even doing something as simple as just replying to comments regularly will go a long way. I know it sounds like an insignificant tip, but you'll be surprised of the results. Reply to comments and be polite and well presented, and it'll gradually begin to get noticed, especially when you have under 1,000 subscribers, as the same regulars will keep coming back and getting those positive vibes from you. Just generally prove to your audience that you're not just a video machine, and there's a pleasant person behind your content. It's important to be proactive on all platforms, especially when your target audience is congregating. When I hit 500 subscribers, I created a Twitch persona and I used to binge watch streams all the time. Gradually, I started getting noticed, especially after I created the Legend series. If you mingle on streams, forums and in comment threads, then you'll generally get your name noticed and out there more and more. Don't advertise or self-promote, however, because this doesn't look very good, but being ever present has massive results. Do you want a good example of this? Eric B. I'm sure most of you know who he is. At over 800 subscribers, you can be sure he didn't get his large following from his replay videos. He did because he's everywhere, on every video, and people remember his name because of how frequently they see his name and icon. And just look at the notoriety he's assembled in the process from just being everywhere in comment sections early. This is a pretty easy one. Channel trailers are really helpful as they only appear to new people visiting your channel, and they really increase the likelihood of the visitor subscribing. Keep it simple and to 1 minute maximum. Say who you are, what you do, and what they can expect. I recently remade mine, and it's a really nice touch to any channel, and it has a massive impression on new visitors who have clicked on your channel looking to get an idea of who you are and what you do. Keeping your homepage tidy is a small but powerful change to allow it to look more like a unit. I personally find it very unprofessional when you go onto a large channel and the homepage says, "This channel doesn't feature any content." Either put playlists in the homepage, feature content for returning subscribers, or just have your activity listed. Just something to look interesting, as a bland homepage is really unprofessional and looks terrible as you try to expand more. Having a series is incredibly important. For me, my biggest sub-gains came from creating the Legends series obviously. Series-based content should not be understated. Assigning videos to a series can bring in views just from the series name, e.g. Maps from Hell. Even if fans of my channel already know the level, they'll be sure to watch it because it's a Maps from Hell video. The series boosts the subject of the video and can bring in thousands of views no matter the subject itself. And the best example of this on YouTube is the Content Cop. How many of you had never heard of Tana Mongeau but still watched the video anyway because you knew it was going to be funny, well made and savage because it was a content cop? Create a playlist for any series you have too and watch the magic happen. These could accumulate thousands of views and are really useful for things like news series and gameplay videos. Personally, I don't think you should really listen to all these video snobs who would have you use Sony Vegas at a professional level at 10 subscribers. I've said this before and I'll say it again, there's nothing wrong with using a surface level editor like Movie Maker, so long as you use it modestly and to its full potential. A good trick with Movie Maker is to keep your editing simple, as a lot of well-known overused effects have really negative reputations. Try to stay away from things like too much text fade and weird text entries. A good trick I used to do when I made text videos was to keep all the text at the bottom of the screen and nicely aligned. Nothing too out there and too obnoxious. Unless you are out to edit an audio-visual masterpiece, Movie Maker, iMovie or whatever your basic surface level editor is will be a perfectly adequate tool. It has the capacity for footage, narrations and audio, and a lot of the time you won't really need more than those 3 tracks as long as you are passionate about what you're doing and you've created something good in the actual content and script of what you're delivering. Thumbnails can be made by GFX artists, and when you're a massive channel it does help to keep consistently colourful GFX masterpieces. But from a smaller perspective, just make sure you're keeping it tidy and somewhat appealing. I know red arrows and emojis get views, but it does give your content a really trashy feeling. Remember, the thumbnail is the first visual thing they're going to see and they'll make their mind up on the video from that. G-News is a great example of how thumbnails can affect views. I regularly run little tests and little experiments on G-News to see what gets views, and the biggest thing I've noticed is that the thumbnails and blue banners get disproportionately more views than any other episodes did. All the blue episodes were some of the most highest viewed episodes I've ever made to date. Blue is an effective colour for thumbnails in general. Intros and outros are pretty simple but quite effective. Nowadays, try to steer clear of the obnoxious 3D intros we used in GD. They're really uninteresting and overdramatic now, especially if they're synced up to a generic Newgrounds song. Instead, I think using something quick and simple is perfectly sufficient. Mine isn't anything special, but it just shows my logo, my name, along with my server link. As for outros, I know there are some channels like Husi who have really cool moving outros, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the static one like mine. Just put your brand out there again and show some other videos for them to watch. Meta tagging is often abused by channels and is a hot topic, but it is a useful and important tool when used correctly. When meta tagging your video, ensure you are completely disambiguating it, so it is discoverable by every relevant topic that relates to your video. As long as you avoid misleading tags, which is against the YouTube terms of service, there's really nothing wrong with loading up the section with every relating factor under the sun, and it's more likely to put your video in the recommended section of many other viewers' main pages. Generally, the main thing to take away from this is just to keep a nice, tidy looking and well branded channel with series based content that anyone can enjoy and will want more of, and can easily find and anticipate more of. Once you've got that down, make sure you interact with your target audience and become a household name by being ever present in your community. If you follow all these tips and have good original ideas in your content, then it is really not hard to reach 1000 subs. I know it seems like a daunting figure when you're a small channel and trying to get the ball rolling, but there are billions of people on YouTube. You target your audience and appeal to them the right way and you'll quickly assemble your 1000 that you need for partnership. While it is important to put your heart into what you do, there's nothing wrong with approaching building a channel with a business frame of mind. The next annoying restriction YouTube implemented was to increase the watch time of a channel to 4,000 hours to be eligible. This isn't massively hard to achieve once you are well known and established, but again it is very difficult to achieve when you're first starting out. It's all about getting not only your views up, but your view duration. You need to retain your audience and keep them watching your videos for longer, and these two factors combined can exponentially increase your watch time. I don't want to sound like I'm deliberately endorsing time wasting here, but expanding a video's length and making it more entertaining is a great trick. From a GD perspective, if you're beating a 1 minute 10 second level, perhaps put a quick fail compilation or funny skit at the start, even if it's just for a minute. If you can get your audience watching your video for 1 minute longer per view, then that's a huge game overall. Try to avoid dragging it out too much though. Deliberate time wasting can make people watch your videos for less time in fact. Nowadays, everyone is so used to quick fixes and impatience has become a virtue. This has even become an epidemic with ADD on the rise so fast thanks to internet overuse. With all this in mind, you really do need to cater to shorter attention spans, so try to keep it fluid. A good trick I use is to divide the large amount of content up into quick, defined sections like I'm doing now with each numbered tip. There are over 3,000 spoken words in this video, so I can't afford to be presenting it to you like an essay. Instead, it's broken down into quick-fire sections and you can continuously move on and roll through the video in a fluid fashion. If you make top 10 lists of any kind, be sure to keep it short and snappy. Dragging out a video for the sake of 10-minute ad revenue can actually damage your audience retention and work against you. On the subject of 10-minute videos, I will say this, it is useful. 10-minute videos are more promoted by the algorithm and are generally good for fans if you are filling that extra time with more meaningful content. Trying to effortlessly extend your video really shows, but if you are entertaining your viewers for the full 10 minutes instead of 5, then it could potentially result in double the watch time. This is a trick I've begun to try recently. If there's something topical within your audience or demographic, then capitalise on it. Big YouTubers like PewDiePie and Memulus do this all the time. They stay on top of trends and are always releasing relevant videos. A good example in GD is Death Corridor. When that was super relevant over summer, I made a GD Theories on it and subsequently got a lot more views than on the average GD Theories episode. God Eater videos are the same. God Eater is so relevant that videos surrounding the topic do get more views. But whatever you do, be sure to avoid lazy content just to cash in on a trend, as it can damage your reputation. YouTube is filled with these terrible trend channels and it really is a shame given how well they all do for how talentless they all are. Encouraging likes and comments is a controversial one because it becomes easy to be labelled a view whore in some people's eyes, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking your audience to leave a like on the video at the end if they enjoyed it. Something I do is encourage people to share their thoughts and get discussions going in the comments, and this benefits me on another level as well because it increases traffic. It ties in with replying to comments. The more threads you have and the longer threads you have, the more people are consistently returning to the video to leave more comments and are playing it while they contribute to a discussion. Getting big threads going on a video can result in hundreds more subsequent views and minutes of watch time, so on a small scale this is another benefit of replying to comments. This is why massive channels like KSI and RiceGum don't actually mind hate on their videos and large hate threads, as it gets people super triggered and forces them to return to the video again and again to argue. In RiceGum's iDubbbz diss track, he pinned a very lame comment he knew would get hate. Why? Because hundreds of people exploded into arguments, bringing them back to the page again and again to fight like puppets. As far as watch time goes, it's not too hard to amount 4,000 hours once you've got the ball rolling. However, this is such a harsh rule from YouTube. It really depends on what content type you do, but if you can find a way to make your videos longer without wasting anybody's time, while also selecting relevant content based on the research into your audience, then once you start to get your attention in your videos, you should start doing just fine. This is a really unfair rule from YouTube because all this side of the partnership restriction was to cut the wage bill. Even channels with 2,000 hours of watch time were being paid. Now YouTube can just stop paying the smallest channels without them fighting back. So there are a few tips and tricks of the trade to help you get partnered and grow your channel to the necessary level. These tips are fairly self-explanatory in some respects once you get going, but I do think there are a few tips there that would have helped people because they aren't immediately obvious. You really do need to get into it and see what works for you and what doesn't, but I hope I have inspired a few of you today. Work hard and think smart, and those two factors will have surprising results. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching and I hope you did enjoy the video and found it useful. If you did, please smash that like button, and if you have any more questions about any of the tips here today, pop them in the comments and I'll try to give you an answer. If you're new around here, if you could consider subscribing, so when YouTube ups their partnership requirements again my channel doesn't die, then I'd really appreciate it. Thanks a lot guys, I'll see you all soon.